In this video, we are going to discuss the tree data structure and its one traversal algorithm, that is pre-order depth first search. I will give you a line-by-line simple explanation of all the code that we will write in this video. Watch this video till the end, as we will also do a dry run of all the code so that we understand each and every line of the code very well.
My name is Aditya Shenoy from Brainy Things, where I make programming simple and fun.
YouTube statistics show that some of you who watch my videos are not subscribed to this channel, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing to this channel to see more programming related videos. It is free and you can always change your mind in future. Before constructing the tree, we need to construct a class for the nodes inside the tree. So we will make a class, we will name it as node, and we will define its constructor. With the self parameter, we will also pass a data parameter that will be the data that will be present inside the node of the tree. We will set that data to self.data, and the tree that we are considering in this problem will be a binary tree. So we will have two children, self.left and self.right. Initially we are setting this left child and right child to none values, but later we will change this. Now as the node class is constructed, we can start connecting these nodes to form the tree. So the tree that we are considering in this video will be displayed on the screen right now. I will make the connections as per this reference image. So first we need to construct the root node. It will have a value of 1. Then the root.left, that is the left child of the root node, will be node 2. The right child of the root node will be node 3. Now we can consider the children of the node 2. So node 2 is root.left. So node 2's left child is node 4. Again root.left is node 2 and its right child is node 5. Now there is only one child for node 3. So we will write root.right, that is node 3, dot left is node 6. So you can verify the connections with this reference image, and this is the entire tree constructed along with the node class. Now we can execute this and the tree has been constructed. Now we can start writing the DFS pre-order function. So we will define DFS pre-order, and we need to pass the node from which the searching process should start. So that searching node will be named as node in this case. As this will be a recursive function, we need to call its left child as well as the right child. So we need to call recursively DFS pre-order node.left and DFS pre-order node.right. Now what does this pre word mean? So pre means before. So this algorithm states that before processing the left child and the right child, we need to process this node. So we will process the current node before these two lines over here, and this processing can be anything. So if you are trying to find a value inside the tree, you can add a if condition that if the key matches to the node's data, or any other processing. In this case we will just print the node.data ending with a space. Now there are two problems over here. First, this is a recursive function and each recursive function should have at least one base case so that the recursion function should stop. Secondly, we are using dot operator over here, and whenever we are using dot operators, we should think what will happen if the variable to the left of the dot operator, that is this node, becomes none, so that error is not raised. In all these three statements, the variable to the left of the dot operator is variable node, and node will be none when the original tree, that is the entire tree, contains no nodes, that is it contains 0 nodes. Secondly, it can happen when a node has only one child, as in this case we have a node 3 which has only one child. So when it calls recursively it's a right child, that child will be none because of this statement. Also, for all the leaf nodes in the tree, that is 4, 5 and 6, the children of all these leaf nodes will be none. So both these statements, recursive statements, will call the function with the none value. So in all these cases, node will be none. So to avoid using none dot something, we need to add a if condition before these three statements where the node dot something is accessed. So we will add if node, and in Python, when we pass an object inside the if clause, it means that node should be not none, then only it will become true. And if the node is none, then it will lead to a false value. So I will increase the indentation of these three statements so that they fall under the if condition. And this if condition is also acting as a recursive base case, because we need to stop the DFS recursion call when the node becomes none, because there are no further childs available. And hence we have solved both the problems of recursion base cases as well as the problem where the variable to the left of the dot operator becomes none. So this is the entire function that we need to write. So the function will have a parameter node. It will check if the node passed is not none, and if it is not none, it will print its data ending with a space. It will recursively call its left child. It will recursively call its right child. And if the node is none, we can add extra logic if we want in the else clause over here. But in our case, we don't need to print anything, so we don't need to write anything over here. So now the function is ready, so we can call this function dfs preorder, and we need to pass the root node where the searching process should start. So I will pass the root variable which we initialized over here, and if I run this, I will get this result 1 2 4 5 3 6. If we consider the tree having a root 1, like the entire tree, you can see that 1, that was the root node, got printed first, that is got processed first. Then the nodes present in the left subtree of the root node, that is 2 4 and 5, were then processed, and then the nodes present in the right subtree got processed. So this follows the order in which we call these recursive functions. So root node gets printed, then the left subtree, and then the right subtree. This rule is applicable for subtrees as well. So you can see that if we consider the subtree where the node 2 is the root, that is 2 4 and 5, 2 is the root node, 4 is the left child, and 5 is the right child. The tree order DFS order is maintained also in the subtrees as well. Now we will do the dry run of the code that we have written so that we understand each of the recursive calls and each and every line of the code. So I will run this file dfs pre-order dry run. You can find this code in my GitHub profile. I have linked that in the description. And this is the debugger that I have written. So this is the code section, and this arrow indicates the current line that the program is executing. This is the calculation section, and this section is helpful because it shows what value the variables are carrying. So in this case, node is carrying value of 1. This variable section contains variables that are present in the local scope of this function, of this specific recursive function call. And this is the print output. As we are printing something over here inside our code, we need to have a separate area for printing because we are using the console for printing all this debugging stuff. So the print output will be displayed over here, and the recursion stack. As this code is recursive, it will be helpful if we visualize the recursion stack as well, like the order in which the recursion function is executed. So let's proceed. The first call by our main function was done with the node of 1, that is the root node. It will check if the node is not none. This condition becomes true, and the pre-order states that the current node should be printed first. So the node's data, that is 1, gets printed, and you can see that in the print output as well. Now it will call recursively its left child, that is 1 dot left child. 1 dot left is 2. So the recursion will again proceed. In this case, the DFS pre-order will be called with the node 2. Node is 2. And you can see in the recursion stack as well, the node 2 call is on the top of the node 1 call. That is, node 1 has called this node 2. It will check if node is not none. In this case it is, so this becomes true. It will enter the if condition. It will print its own data in the print output, and it will again recursively call its node dot left, that is 2 dot left, which is node 4. The recursion stack is filling. The local variables are changing for each recursive call. In this case node is 4. It will check if node is not none. It becomes true again. It will enter the if condition, and it will print the node dot data, that is 4 gets printed here. Now it will call its left subtree recursively 4 dot left, but 4 does not have any left child, so a none value gets passed. Node is none, and the condition that node is not none becomes false. So it will skip all these 3 lines and go to the end of the line like this. So for this recursive function, when we pass node equal to none, the program terminates. So this recursion stack pops out this element, and for node 4, node dot write is called recursively. So 4 dot write, it is again none, so if condition becomes false, and it again exit out of the function. Now node 4 has processed all these 3 lines, that is node dot data has been printed, and both the left child and right child has been called. So it exits out of the if condition, and it returns back to its caller, that is node 2. For node 2, all the left subtree has been processed, so it will call its right subtree. In that case, it is node 5. Node 5 is not none, so this becomes true, and its data gets printed, so 5 gets printed. Again recursively its left child gets called, that is none, so this becomes false. It will return back to its caller. 5 dot write gets recursively called, that is also none, so this if condition becomes false again. It will return back to its caller. Now for node 5 also, all these 3 lines gets executed, so it returns back to its caller node 2. For node 2 as well, all the subtrees, that is left subtree and the right subtree under the node 2 has been processed, so it also returns back to its caller, that is node 1. So finally for node 1, all the nodes present in the left subtree has been processed. Now it can call its right subtree. 1 dot write is 3, so node equal to 3 gets passed. You can see the recursion stack also gets starting filling up. Node is not none, so this becomes true. Node dot data 3 gets printed, and 3 dot left gets recursively called. 3 dot left is 6, so recursion stack again gets filled up. Node equal to 6 is passed. If node, that is node is not none, so this becomes true. Its data gets printed. Recursively node dot left is called, which is a none value because 6 is a leaf node. So if condition becomes false, and it returns back to its caller, that is node 6. For node 6, this call was done right now, so it calls its right subtree, which is also none. So if condition becomes false, it again return back to its caller, that is node 6. For node 6 also, all these three statements has been executed, so it return back to its caller. For node 3, left subtree has been traversed, so it calls its right subtree, that is 3.right. 3 node 3 does not have any right child, so again a none value is passed. So this if condition becomes false, and it return back to its caller. For node 3 as well, all these three lines has been executed, so it return back to its caller. And for node 1, all the nodes inside the left subtree as well as the right subtree has been processed, so it finally returns back to the main function where we call this function. In this way, the pre-order depth first search is done. Now, what are the uses of this pre-order depth first search? Pre-order depth first search, if applied to an expression tree, returns its prefix expression. Prefix expression is useful in stack-oriented programming languages. The time complexity of this algorithm is O of n, if n is the number of nodes in the tree. This is because we are traversing all nodes in the tree. If you ended up liking this video, please press that like button, comment any feedback that you have for this video or this channel, share this video with your friends. The code that I write in all my videos of this channel is available in my GitHub profile, whose link is in the description. You can connect to me via LinkedIn, whose link is again in the description. If you want to see a line-by-line explanation of data structures and algorithms like this, check out the playlist over here. If you want to learn Python built-in functions along with various Python features, tips, tricks, and real project examples, then check out the playlist over here. If you want to see a hands-on game development project, check out the playlist over here. And I will see you in the next video.